Israel's allies have begun deploying military assets to the region following the recent terrorist attack by Hamas. 2 US aircraft carriers have been sent to the eastern Mediterranean, along with US Air Force jets, while the UK has deployed a Royal Navy task group and an undisclosed number of Royal Air Force planes. These deployments come ahead of what is expected to be a devastating Israeli response to the attacks that have been described as Israel's 9/11 or Pearl Harbour, with over 1,000 Israeli civilians killed as entire families were butchered in ISIS-style attacks. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, is the first to arrive, with its 8 squadrons of aircraft supported by missile cruisers and destroyers. The strike group is officially there to prevent further attacks on Israel, namely from Iran and Hezbollah. The deployments may also be there to shoot down any missiles launched by Iran or Hezbollah, according to some reports. US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said, "Let me again reiterate one of the main messages that this rapid increase in posture is intended to send to both state and non-state actors. The United States is unequivocal in its support for the defense of Israel and is sending a warning to any entity that would consider taking advantage of this conflict and this war to escalate violence. One word quite simply, don't." The US Defense Secretary also added that the US would be rapidly moving to supply the IDF with ammunition and interceptors to resupply the Iron Dome. The British Prime Minister also confirmed the UK would be deploying the UK military to the eastern Mediterranean to support Israel and reinforce regional stability. Maritime patrol and surveillance aircraft have been deployed to track transfers of weapons from Iran to terrorist groups. 2 Royal Navy ships, Merlin helicopters, and a company of Royal Marines are to be deployed according to a British government statement. In addition to the USS Gerald Ford strike group, it's been confirmed today that the US will also be sending the USS Eisenhower carrier strike group to join the Ford in the eastern Mediterranean. The US has also deployed around 24 F-15E Strike Eagles from the UK to Jordan, and US Air Force A-10s began arriving in the region today, according to US Central Command. These deployments come ahead of what is believed to be an impending attack by Israel on those behind the terrorist attack, with Israeli officials urging citizens in Gaza to evacuate the north of the Strip. Israel has conducted hundreds of strikes against Hamas targets in Gaza in recent days, with 300,000 reservists called up and Israeli forces conducting drills in preparation. While the Gaza offensive was expected to begin this weekend, it was postponed in part due to weather conditions, according to the New York Times. Whether this conflict expands and ultimately involves US and UK forces, whose presence in the region is in large part to deter further Iranian involvement, is ultimately dependent on the extent to which Iran and Iranian proxies become involved themselves. This became more likely yesterday after Iran reportedly told Israel via the UN that it would be forced to intervene if Israel continued its operation against Hamas. Hezbollah launched rocket and missile attacks against Israel today, which has resulted in some Israeli forces being deployed to the north, with Israeli airstrikes and artillery hitting Hezbollah positions in Lebanon.